Good evening. Welcome to the May 5th Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Stephanie, please call the roll.
Councilman Morelli.
Here.
Councilwoman Reed. Here. Councilman Lanier. Here. Councilwoman Wallace. Here. Supervisor Barrett.
Here, we're still working on the minutes, right?
Correct.
Okay. Communications and announcements. Anybody that, yes, Mr. Manier.
We hold Arbor Day event on April 24th. Both event was great, and I'd like to thank Green Committee and Tree Committee for this great event, and also thanks to Councilman Morali for helping me out. And, thank you so much. And also, there is a local organization, American Telugu organization, who actually in the park, Veteran Park, and thanks to Supervisor Barrett with that helping me out. And Dan Clement, thank you for collecting all this information. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I do want to thank, I didn't get a final read on how many volunteers, but we were approaching 300 that worked during the town cleanup day, various parks and trails. throughout the town. So I know some of you were out there working. We appreciate it, and thank you to all the volunteers who were out there working very hard that day to help us keep all the parks and the trails clean. So thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes.
As,
Ms. Reed?
as many of you know, May is Historic Preservation Month, and tonight we'll hear from our town historian, John Scher, with information about a few upcoming events that we have and a few that we've already seen happen. Over the weekend, we unveiled a new historic marker on Riverview Road, signifying one of the early settlements on the Erie Canal, the home of John Clute. And I'm not going to go too long, so we have a packed agenda, and I will let John Scher, our town historian, mention the many other historical marks this month.
Great. Yep, he always has a lot to talk about. So we must be making history, right? Mr. Morelli?
Yeah, just the next in our series of stewardship hikes is this Wednesday at the Dwaskill Preserve at 1 p.m. So we kicked this off last month, as some may recall, at Garnsey Park. This month's iteration is at the Dwaskill Preserve. It's on posted on our social media. Everyone is welcome, and we're looking to continue to grow the size of those hikes. Might be a little rainy, but dress for the elements, and we will get out there.
I think that's a standard statement for everything. Dress for the elements. We had four town events on consecutive Saturdays, and ended up soaked in each and every one. And I don't think it stopped for the last 2 days. So yeah, not a great stretch of weather, that is for sure. Also, I want to congratulate Linda Collette and Anne Marie Cargile. I attended an event for Captain up at the Milton Community Center Saturday afternoon. They were both honored by Captain for their continued efforts to support Captain and CareLinks. Both of those programs, Captain generally is supported significantly through the town budget each and every year, and CareLinks as well. CareLinks is a program that's grown quite a bit. They're always looking for volunteers, and they provide assistance, transportation to seniors who need it. So if you do want to volunteer, please contact my office or contact Captain directly. We'd love to have you. But a tremendous program. It started at our Clifton Park Senior Community Center and has blossomed and expanded over the years. So very proud of what they've been able to accomplish, and congratulations to those two ladies for being honored. Anyone else at this time? Okay. Well, let's get right into the agenda. We have perhaps the last budget update by Dr. Robinson. Sir, would you come up, please?
Sure, thank you.
Dr. Robinson visits us annually with an overview of the school budget that'll be coming up for a vote soon.
Yes, thank you very much, Phil. And believe it or not, this is my 20th time coming here.
Wow.
It's crazy, right? I actually, I was sitting there and reflecting on my conversation with Mr. Berlin when he mentioned that his son and grandson now works for Shannon. And I look back and I saw the grandson. I'm thinking like, man, they're getting younger and younger every day. And then I thought about my first time here in Clifton Park, and yourself and Mrs. Holloway were one of the two people on the town board that I would say embraced me as the new young superintendent. And so as I stand here as the little bit older superintendent and thinking about this is the 20th time in front of this board and in front of this community.
We were both young back then.
Yes, we're both young. Yes. But it's all relative. It's all relative. Someone remind me that he retired back when I was a child. So
He's still working. He's not retired.
Exactly. So I think just like, even 20 years ago and each year after that I've stood in front of this board and this community, with a very similar message that our budget is designed to preserve quality programs so our students from year after year have a quality experience. To me, it's a simple equation. That's our job, to invest the resources of the community so that our students have a quality experience and have options after high school. And this budget is no different. We're going to budget. The percentage, our average 5 year, over 5 years, we average about 4.25% on the budget. This is 4.43, so right in that ballpark. And I emphasize that point because right now there are a lot of uncertainties, the federal uncertainties, state uncertainties. As we stand here right now, we're still trying to, what's happening even with the New York State budget, right? And what's the details behind that, for example. Despite, if you will, all those things, we still build a budget that meets the needs of our students, and also very respectful to the community who invest in us. And so the tax implication, particularly here in the town of Clifton Park, it's going to be pretty flat. The flat line, the thing that always differentiates is where we come in with equalization rates in August. And so we anticipate that's going to be the case. That's going to be pretty flat. We're right at the tax cap is at 3.29, so we are consistent with that tax cap. So the budget itself is, again, recognizing time. I have a one-pager I'll leave with you. The budget newsletter should be coming out about this time next week, so the community have more details on it. But I think some messages just to walk away from the budget. Next year, 25-26, students will have minimally as good, if not better, experience. And some people say it's going to be better because I'm not there, but who knows? So to be seen. So that's one proposition that we want the voters to come out and vote on. I can't tell you how to vote. I just encourage you to come out and vote. The second proposition is something that we have been doing forever as well, is bus replacement. We have a lot of buses on the road, and we have a new trooper right there who's just joined our ranks. So we're looking to replace 11 big buses, 5 medium-sized buses, and 2 smaller buses. The piece that we're also dealing with is trying to slowly, and I'm going to use the word slowly transition into electric vehicle, because there's still a lot of uncertainty about how well they run in the winter versus this, and quite frankly, we're also watching to see what language is going to come from the state related to that mandate that's looming and hanging over our heads as we speak. So we just recently applied and received word that through NYSERDA, we are pretty much about half the cost of each one of those buses, 2 electric buses we have in this proposition, going to be offset by the NYSERDA grant. So that's a good news for us as well. So we'll be putting those buses out to voters for proposition. Something that as a school district, and I'm going to align this with another announcement, on the 17th of May, we'll be celebrating the 75th anniversary of Shannon as a school district. And Mr. Shearer, I saw him somewhere right here. Yes. He's on our committees because we want to make sure that we're factual, right? That we actually have the real facts. And I think about the 75 years, and literally we have things like boilers that are 50 and 60 years old. And it's just time. It's just time for some of those things to replace. We call a new roof a 20-year-old roof. And I say that because that's the reality. And so we have a capital project that's going to go out that if passed in May. The construction won't actually start until probably 2028 just because of the sequence of design and state education approval. However, those are some of the big things that at that point we would have to reconcile. Roofs, spoilers, pipes, particularly the elementary school on campus. All those schools are 50 plus years old, and we have 50 plus year old pipes that we have to replace, and these things are costly. So you're looking at a referendum, it's 85.5 million. And about 56 of it is going to be things that no one will ever see, above the roof or under the ground, because that's the reality of when you have a large campus and not a building's upkeep. And so the 75-year anniversary gives you an indication that we're dealing with stuff that's built way back when, and now we have to make sure we preserve those things moving forward. And then the last piece on here, certainly last but not least, Board of Education seats. And I don't think we have anyone here. We have 3 seats up for re-election. 2 incumbents are running again, Petra Holden and Deanna Stevenson. And we have a new candidate, Andrea Gallo, who's most recently, I think, still the president of the football boosters. She has 2 sons at the high school level. So we have 3 seats, 3 individuals running this uncontested election. Even with that being said, though, we certainly want to encourage people to come out and vote, because sometimes when you don't have a contested election, people kind of, and so we really want people to come out and vote because it's important. Every budget is important. And personally for me, as you said, the last kind of go around, to make sure that the district is positioned for continued prosperity. At the end of the day, we build a system that's plug and play, that if it's me or someone else, the system will move on and do well and do good things for our students. And so before I close, if you have any questions, I just want to point out, talking about system will move on, I have with me a colleague that started with us 18, 19 months ago, Dr. Cecily Wilson Turner, who's our deputy superintendent. Cecily, want to wave? So Cecily's also, so great, yes, thank you. So I think you'll be seeing more of her face, more so than not. Cecily is also a parent here in the school district. She has two boys at Arte Elementary. And I pointed out too, because, and not to, if I'm taking too much time, thank you for giving me that minute. I pointed out as well because I had the good fortune of having all three of my kids go through the Shen system. When I came here, my oldest son, who Dave knows, 28 years old, I'm thinking, how can I have a 20-year-old kid? I'm only 28 myself. And graduated from Temple Law in a couple weeks and engaged. My middle guy, Eric, graduated from SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, animation artist, and thinking, I can't write my name straight. How can this be? And my little ballerina girl, my daughter, is going to be 23, just graduated from Point Park, and is going to be a professional ballerina in New York City. Wow. So I share that with you because these are the kids that came through our walls, in our halls. And I take pride, certainly as a parent, and I take pride in knowing that over 20 years, almost 15,000 young people, I shook their hands walking across the stage of SPAC. And I would say all those young people have found their path in the future because we have designed that system that they have options when they leave. And so I close by simply saying, certainly to the Tom Board, thank you very much for always being a gracious host. And I know here we have a cross section of our Shannon community. Thank you all very much. It's been, you know, the better part of 20 years has been because of interaction with people in this community. There have been challenging times we've dealt with, and we have dealt with those challenges because we knew we had a community that support us as a system. So I really want to take this opportunity to say thank you as well. And so thank you for the time, and I'm willing to entertain. If you have any questions, I'll leave these to the one pages with you just for some information for your reference.
Yeah, I think you talked about the electric buses, and I think the big cost there is the infrastructure upgrades that would be needed, right? If you had a full fleet or maybe a half fleet, I'm not sure where the threshold would be where you have to make those significant investments in the millions of dollars.
Yeah, part of this referendum is to do some infrastructure upgrade. We've been working very closely with National Grid so they can have the power. The question is, they can bring the power, but do you have the capacity to even accept it? And not only for bus purchases, just in our buildings, and not to prolong it. I was in a room, one of our spaces, and we realized that how the space was built, we didn't have plugs around the room. So we had to like literally running extension cords around the space because the rooms weren't built 50 years ago, thinking that people were going to be plugged in all over the place, right? So a big part of that is retrofitting spaces just for simple things like that to take advantage of electric capacity. But yeah, the infrastructure piece is something that we want to get ahead of. And so if or when that price point for buses become reasonable, we'll be prepared to take advantage of those price points.
Right. Well, I just want to say, worked with you a long time. We worked together on many initiatives over the years, and certainly want to wish you all the best in I'm sure you're not retired. You're way too young. You're way too young to retire.
After losing a lot of money at the track this summer,
so
I had to get a job.
Way too young to retire. So, but thank you for your service to the district, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you around.
Absolutely. Thank you.
There's more with it.
Thanks very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you, Vance.
Thank you, Cecily. All right, next up, the aforementioned town historian.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Boy, sir.
So I can't believe it's another year. I can't believe.
I know, it seemed like you were just here.
I know. Time goes fast. I just want to mention, I get to mention, we have a whole bunch of events coming about. The next, we had a very busy weekend.
Yeah.
We started our canal celebration.
Can you move that mic down a little bit, John?
We started the canal celebration of the bicentennial of the opening of the Erie Canal Friday night with a kickoff and an opening of an exhibit at the Grooms Tavern. And then we had the dedication of a marker for Willow Spring on Saturday. We got that in just before the rain. And I know, Phil, you showed up a little bit late because you had a prior commitment, but we were still there when you got there, so that was nice. And on the 16th, May 16th, we have Connie Frisbee Hood, who's with the New York State Museum, and she's going to give a program at the Grooms Tavern on what the well-dressed people wore in the 1820s. Which is the canal era. It's also the time of our founding of our town in 1828. We're going to encourage people to wear costumes for our events. I'm doing a trip on May 17th, same day as the 75th anniversary of the school, and we're going to several canal-related places. We're going to the Chittenango Dry Dock Museum. And then we're also, of course, we have our own dry dock, Klutz Dry Dock, so we'll be able to compare that. And then we're going to Camillus to ride a canal boat, replica canal boat, on an original stretch of the Erie Canal. And we're going to go over a restored aqueduct, like we had an aqueduct in Rexford, so people will see what that's like. Then first Saturday in June, we're doing a bike ride on the canal towpath. These are all events related to the bicentennial of the canal. And our big event is going to be in Fisher Ferry on October 11th and 12th.
Yes.
And we're going to resurrect Canal Days at Fisher Ferry. So stay tuned and mark your calendars. We're going to have a lot going on. But anyway, to the situation at hand here, this is my report, my annual report. And the big news for 2024, of course, was the town's acquisition of the 5.5 acres between the Grooms Tavern, Blacksmith Shop, and the Grange Hall. This now presents so many possibilities towards the development of a town historical and cultural center. The acquisition adds an 1850s Greek Revival house built by Henry Palmer and a mid-19th century barn for drying apples. Various town organizations, including the Historic Preservation Commission, the Friends of Historic Grooms Tavern, Open Space Commission, and the Not So Common Players are groups who hope to work with the town to determine how best to use this complex of historic buildings. Perhaps creating something like the town of Colony has developed around the Prine House historic area, a heritage square to serve Clifton Park's cultural and historical needs. A worthy project as we look forward to our town's bicentennial in 2028. We have lots of sporting facilities and lots of fields and things like that. We need an arts center, a place for cultural and historical events, and Not So Common Players need a place, a home. So hopefully we can develop something with these buildings. This just shows you, this is a picture at the Grooms Tavern, and it shows people interacting with the things that we have on exhibit there. A grant was recently applied for. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Hey, it works. Okay. A grant was recently applied for to employ John G. Waite and Associates to do a historic structure report for the blacksmith shop and wagon making shop. This is the first step in preserving and making the building useful. Jack Waite actually visited the building last year and was very impressed with the early date of its construction. Last year, we applied for a grant to replace the roof of the blacksmith shop, but were turned down. However, folks from the State Historic Preservation Office, who reviewed the grant were interested enough to visit the site and provided encouragement to apply for the next round in the fall. So that was a good sign that they came to see the place. They indicated that a historic structure report would greatly support the grant application. Clifton Park's Heritage Square may not happen overnight, but with public support, we can make this happen over time. The other big news for 2024 is the planning has begun for several major celebrations. The bicentennial of the Erie Canal occurs during 2025, and numerous town events are planned, and I mentioned some of them, during May and June. That will culminate in a grand celebration at Fisher Ferry Historic District the weekend of October 11th and 12th. A committee has been actively meeting to resurrect the Fisher Ferry Canal Days that were popular from 1973 to 1985. Perhaps if this is a success, it will again be an annual event,
Yeah, I hope
which
so.
would be kind of nice. We received a $2,000 grant from Canalway to help finance the event, and the town has matched that grant, which is great. The 250th anniversary of independence will be celebrated in 2026. And the Preservation Commission has already obtained 3 historic markers from the Pomeroy Foundation to mark the burial places of Revolutionary War veterans. Sue Thompson, who's here, has helped do a lot of the research to find out about these veterans and what units they served in. And so we're going to be continuing to do that. We have quite a few patriots here in town, let me tell you.
Yeah.
The loyalists are from Half Moon.
Uh-oh.
Here's one of the recent markers that we placed to commemorate the Revolutionary War veterans. And hopefully next year I'll be doing little biographies of all of these Revolutionary War veterans. And I have some other plans I need to talk to you about.
Okay, we're all ears.
Okay. Reflecting the town's celebration of the Erie Canal and the 250th anniversary of independence, we recently placed 2 historic markers. One marker recognizes Willow Spring. This is Willow Spring here, an early tavern on the canal east of Fisher Ferry. And we did this on Saturday. We dedicated this new marker. Here we are. Councilman Reed was there and made some wonderful remarks about historic preservation in Clifton Park. And here we all are. So this one is dedicated and very, very popular with people. The other marker tells the capture, the other marker we placed tells of the capture of a notorious Tory spy, Joe Beatties, who was captured off of Waite Road. And you'll be hearing more about him, I'm sure. A highlight in July was an interview on Clifton Park's history with Sabrina Dahman of Channel 13 News. It was used on a special airing of news from Clifton Park. You remember that, which featured other town committees and events. The history spot was run several times during the news from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., as well as a promo between segments. I had a good time with Sabrina. It's a nice lady. And even though she called me a character on air.
Wow. News reporters only tell the truth.
Public programs included a number of PowerPoint presentations, including Low Bridge, the Erie Canal in Saratoga County, that was popular this year. It was given to the Old Saratoga Historical Society, the Colony Historical Society, the Rotary at Burnt Hills, and to the Schoharie Crossing State Historic Site. This old house, another presentation I do, was presented to the Fulton County Historical Society. A Shaker legacy was given to the Shaker Heritage Society and to Coburg Village. From Farms to Suburbs was presented to the Summit at Half Moon. Life in a 19th Century Tavern was given at the annual meeting of the Friends of Rooms Tavern. and Clifton Park's Heritage Square was presented as a First Friday event at the historic Rooms Tavern, and these later two presentations were new for 2024, which meant I spent a lot of time putting those together. The Forgotten Crossroads video at Vischer Ferry, which I mentioned last year, was completed by the Saratoga County History Center and premiered in April of last year. And this is the one of the premieres of the program at Rooms Tavern. And you can actually find this now on YouTube. The Saratoga County History Center, who did the video, has a YouTube channel, and you can find it on your own TV by going to YouTube, and I think you can actually do it by just doing Forgotten Crossroads or Vischer Ferry, and it'll pop up. In conjunction with its showing throughout Clifton Park, a special exhibit on the historic district was featured at the library during October. An exhibit on the archaeological excavation at the Grooms Tavern blacksmith shop was featured in the public room of the tavern, and professional archaeologist Dave Moyer, who led the dig, presented a PowerPoint presentation on the findings. So these are people looking at the exhibit the day it opened. 3 bus tours of local landmarks were given for the senior center and a walking the senior center. So these buses, they use the senior buses. They only hold 12 passengers. So I forgot how many people wanted to go on this tour. So I had to give it 3 different times. I really have it down pat now.
You must have felt like a pastor on a Sunday.
I did. Yes. And a walking tour of Clifton Park's First Farms was conducted for Farm Fest. I also participated in a Saratoga 250 event by doing walking tours of Schuyler's Farm and the original Champlain Canal in Schuylerville. The annual Trails Day bike ride featured a ride along the Erie Canal towpath with frequent stops to examine canal remains, and we're doing that again this year in June. Finally, a tour to the historic Nellis Tavern in St. Johnsville, a very similar tavern to our own Grooms Tavern, was organized for the Friends of Grooms Tavern. In January of 2024, I presented a PowerPoint presentation on Clifton Park's preservation program at a conference for town planners and supervisors. As I think I've mentioned before, a lot of towns are using our model, our preservation program that we have here, as a model for their own towns. I served as on the program committee for the conference of the Association of Public Historians of New York State, and I attended the conference at Port Jefferson, Long Island, and I'm also serving on the Shenendehowa 75th Anniversary Committee, but unfortunately I won't be able to attend because I'll be doing my own bus trip on that day. Acquisitions for 2024 include a collection of farm implements from the Van Vranken Farm in Vischer Ferry. Some of these items are initialed and dated as early as 1807 by family members. This donation was made by Lyle Van Vranken, and the implements are currently on exhibit at the Grooms Tavern. So this is some of those implements. This is a butter churn, a grain shovel, and a side, beautifully made side, so it would fit right against your elbow. And that is actually, that's dated. You can see RVV for Richard Van Vranken in the date 1830. Very interesting. And then Ginny Wetton, longtime steward of the William Bliss Baker House on Boston Lake, donated all of her research and early photographs on this important Clifton Park historic home. East Side Drive, which is the Clifton Park side of the lake, it was actually the driveway for this home. And then it became the road. William Bliss Baker was a very well-known Hudson Valley artist, and his family lived in Boston Lake. And he built this home in 1885, and he died a year later in an ice skating accident in Central Park. He was out skating on Central Park and fell and it killed him. But at any rate, the home is one of our historic homes. It's on our historic register. And his paintings are in major museums throughout the country. So it's sort of interesting. Participation as advisor to both the Clifton Park Historic Preservation Commission and the Friends of Historic Rooms Tavern continues. Much of what I do would not be possible without input from these two organizations. Last year, the Preservation Commission placed 3 historic homes on our town register of historic places. So we have about a total of 67 historic homes on Clifton Park's historic register. So think about that when people say Clifton Park has no history. I also remain active as a representative to the Mohawk Towpath Federal Byway. And finally, I'd really like to thank everybody, the town board and all of the various town offices that support town history throughout the year. Everybody is so supportive, and I really appreciate it. It's a genuine interest in history in this town, so that's great. So at this point, I don't know whether Linda Seymour is the chair of the Preservation Commission, and she may have some things to add.
Yes. Thank you so much, John. We appreciate it. John's the hardest working historian in New York State.
You know what I want to do? I want to make a recommendation. I'm not going to be a historian at some point. I want to say at least till we get this bicentennial done. But you might start thinking about a full-time historian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a full time on the job, but but you could use one. And I'm thinking, if we go forward with this Clifton Park Heritage Square idea, that could be part of the job description to manage that.
What year did you start, John? Was it?
Do I have to say?
Yeah.
When? 1978.
Oh, I was going to guess 73.
And, I was really young. I was the youngest historian in New York State.
Yeah.
I think I was 15.
Well, thank you. I mean, you look at everything we've accomplished working together, and thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hi, Linda.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm great this evening. Isn't it fantastic?
Yeah.
All kinds of wonderful things happening tonight. Thank you, John. The Historic Preservation Commission would be lost without our expert in history and all things relic. I'm not going to do our annual report. I am going to mention, though, that 2 of our key functions and roles and responsibilities for the HPC is to identify historic structures within the town and recommend that they be placed on the register and or be given a tax easement if the house complies with that process. The second thing is to recognize people who do outstanding work in preservation, whether they be builders or homeowners or people like John, who recognize the significance of our history here in this community. And so tonight, we are going to ask the town board to place another home on the register. And John is going to share a little bit about that house that we're recommending. All right, John, do you have that?
Sure.
Want to do the resolution first?
And
You want to read the resolution first, or how does this work?
with the resolution first?
Well, yeah, why don't we do that first, and then you can go into the explanation. Yes.
Sounds good.
Yep.
A resolution designating the Elder and Abram Van Wert House to be placed on the Clifton Park Town Register of Historic Places. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby adds the Elder and Abram Van Wert House, 339 Riverview Road, Rexford, to the Town Register of Historic Places.
Okay, so let's find my notes on that. Here we are. Okay, so this is the house right here. It's in the Bishop Ferry Historic District, 339 Riverview Road.
It's owned by Alan and Barbara Mattis. It's sort of a vernacular mid-19th century home. And as you mentioned, it was built by Elder, that's a name you don't hear too often, Elder and Abram Van Wart. So Elder Van Wart, who lived from 1785 to 1861, built this house between 1837 and 1850, but it was occupied by his son, Dr. Abraham Van Wart. He was a physician. Elder constructed at least 4 houses along Main Street in Fisher Ferry. Here we go. This is a map. Whoops. You can see the 4 houses. See, here's Abram Van Wart. He's living here at the time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 houses that Van Wart built in Fisher Ferry, and I think he rented them out, probably to people who worked at the dry docks in Fisher Ferry. So the house has all of its a lot of original woodwork. You have to lay on your side to see. This is the original front door. Victorian door. Here's one of the interior doors, has the original interior doors, and of course, the original floors. This is not a wall, those are the floors. What's interesting about this house is that Alan and Barbara rescued this from certain oblivion. This was in really horrible shape. And this was in 1970 when they acquired the house. And Nico Peterson, carpenter in Fisher Ferry, worked with them to restore this house. Nico Peterson received our preservation award a couple of years ago for all the work he did on a lot of the homes in Fisher Ferry. Helped restore a lot of those homes. But another interesting thing is that they acquired the home from Van de Forge, who was a son of George Van Vranken. George Van Vranken had purchased the house in 1930. And when George moved out, he left a lot of original Van Vranken family materials in the attic, papers and deeds going back to the 17th century, 1600s, 1680s. And Alan and Barbara have donated those to the town history collection. But it's amazing that he left those behind, and we're grateful to Alan and Barbara for finding those and donating them to the library. They're great research materials, and they go back quite a ways. So the structure is a contributing structure to the Fisher Ferry Historic District. And so that's the story on the house.
Great. Thank you.
So when we have a house that's placed on the register, we give the homeowner this medallion that they can place on their house, usually by the front door. So it states, historic designation, Town of Clifton Park. This property has been placed on the Clifton Park Register of Historic Places. And so I do believe that Mr. Mattis is here this evening. Would you come forward, please, Alan? So, Alan, on behalf of the Historic Preservation Commission and the Town of Clifton Park, please accept this plaque. And you'll have an opportunity to say something. However, what you don't know, this is a surprise, I hope, is that the commission also recognized the significant amount of work that you and your wife and family have put into this home over the years. And we would like to present to you our Preservation Award for 2025. The Town of Clifton Park Historic Preservation Award 2025 is presented to Alan and Barbara Mattis for the preservation and restoration of the Elder and Abram Van Wart house in historic Bishop Ferry. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Linda, if you could,
Oh, pictures.
Alan?
Okay.
Alan, come on out if you would. Have your hands full. Good to see you. Yeah, I just want to say, our programs, our conservation easement programs, our preservation of open space programs, historic preservation, none of it works without willing partners. And when we are able to partner with folks on these programs, it makes it all work. And Alan and Barbara are just two examples of many over the years that have stepped forward and displayed their willingness to work with the town of Clifton Park in these various initiatives. So we just want to say thank you on behalf of the town of Clifton Park for helping us and adding so much to our historic collection.
Thank you.
Thank you. Get your hands full.
My wife, I'm sorry she couldn't be here. She had recent knee surgery.
Oh. Okay.
She did a hard work on that.
Yeah.
She's on her knees all the time.
Yeah, right. She'll be impressed. She'll be impressed. Let's get a quick picture here. So again, thank you to Alan and Barbara Mattis for their partnership.
It's a dangerous thing to ask me to say a few words. How long are you people going to be here? This is very nice. A lot of it unexpected, and just to give you a little background, I grew up in Galloway, New York, in the 50s, and I lived in a home that was built around 1850 by a doctor. So when I got to Bishop Ferry, everything seemed to be in order. I mean, here's a home that a doctor had at least owned, and it was built in the same period. My wife loved the house. I wasn't so certain, but I had been engaged in reconstruction, restoration of homes in Galloway, excuse me, as a high school student and a college student. So I kind of knew, what you do first. You gut everything. That's the way it works. And then you start putting things back together, and hopefully you've saved enough of the original door frames and doors and window trim and so forth, so you can make it look like it was before, only of course it'd be better. What I didn't know when we bought the house, and my wife loved it, we bought it, that's the end of that story, was the miserable shape it was in. I would say in another 20 years, if we hadn't gotten to work on it and basically reconstructed it, then it would have fallen down. The roof would have gone first. The subheaders would have splayed out from the house. The roof would have collapsed, and then they would have been written off. Well, fortunately for us, across the road was Nick Peterson, and he was definitely an expert on reconstruction. No doubt about it. He knew exactly what to do. He didn't, sometimes when I was working for or with him, even explain to me why he was doing what he was doing, but in the end, everything came out right. So we labored on it for 10 years, and it had interesting features like rafters that were sagging for the main roof, and a living room ceiling that was 6 inches lower in the center than around the edges. And, yeah, that was interesting. And we pulled up in the parlor area, the sitting room, or whatever you want to call it. We pulled up the wide plank floors, and they turned out to be holding up the support structure. The pouring beams. So when we disconnected enough of them, everything collapsed into the basement. I wish I had a PowerPoint summary of this because you'd find it interesting, but I didn't bring it. Anyway, long story short, we struggled through it, and I think the house is stable now. It's very comfortable for us. It has a lot of the old architectural features, and as John mentioned, George Van Bracken, who was a direct descendant, seventh in line, lived there during his retirement, so some history connected to that. In the Dr. Van Wert apparently for I'm sorry, my time.
Never know what those TVs are gonna do nowadays.
Well, anyway, I'm getting close to the end. So, we're really, lived there during his retirement. They remodeled the structure in the 30s, and it was a remodeling job that glossed over a lot of structural issues, but we got it done. I don't know if I emphasized enough, if it hadn't been for Nick, the place wouldn't be standing now. He knew exactly what to do, and he said, Al, grab that, and you go from there and put the place back together. So, I really appreciate the awards and the petition too. This is
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah. And the work of the historical committee to make this happen. So, thank you very much, Linda.
Thank you, Alan. We have another,
Yes, and this is it. Thank you. As I said before, recognizing contributions to historic preservation is very important to our commission. And tonight I would like to read this proclamation on behalf of the town board, recognizing Pauline Bain. It's a surprise. You should, that was a wonderful look. Pauline Bain has been an appointed and actively participating member of the Historic Preservation Commission from 2008 to 2025. Pauline has held the appointed position of recording secretary for a period of 6 years during her tenure, and has been an involved participant in countless visits to historic homes and structures within the communities of Clifton Park for the purpose of documenting them for inclusion in the town's historic register, and in some cases, historic tax easements. Pauline has been an ardent and respectful steward to the town's numerous cemeteries by participating in annual fall and spring inspections. And we were in cemeteries on last Saturday and this week as well. So it's not only parks and recreation, but it's cemeteries as well. Doing ground maintenance, cleaning headstones, deciphering names and dates, and noting physical access to these cemeteries. Pauline initiated a Clifton Park Historic Barn project by traveling throughout the community, photographing barns and updating their condition. And Pauline has always been a willing and enthusiastic volunteer, offering her time to participate in town functions such as Winterfest, Historic Preservation Month, numerous functions at the Historic Rooms Tavern. Pauline Bain will be greatly missed by her friends on the Historic Preservation Commission, who wish to express their very best wishes in future endeavors. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the entire town board of Clifton Park extends its gratitude and appreciation to Pauline Bain for her extensive volunteer service in the identification and preservation of our historic places, buildings, and structures. And it's signed by Mr. Barron.
Come on up, Pauline.
Shocked.
So you were surprised?
Yes, very surprised. I really enjoyed all the years that I was in on the commission. I think I started with Mark Kazmazak was there. And I enjoyed it very much, but I decided to kind of limit what I was doing so that I could get back to writing. So thank you, I am really honored.
Well, thank you. Our Historic Preservation Commission is a very busy and involved group, working with our town historian. And it's people like Pauline that have made it work for many years. So thank you so much.
And thank you to the Historic Preservation Commission members who are here this evening. Thank you for coming.
Mr. Morelli, who's our liaison to the Historic Preservation Committee.
I just want to take 1 second to say thank you to John Shear and to Linda Seymour. I've had the opportunity, along with Councilwoman Reed, to work with both of you over the past year plus. And as I look around the room, there's many unsung heroes in this room. But you two come to mind as we just went through some pretty impactful presentations. And just so everyone's aware, if you ever, besides tonight, if you're ever at a talk that John gives or at a meeting that Linda leads as chairwoman of the Historical Preservation Commission, their love for the preserving the historical character of our town is absolutely infectious. And I really thank you on behalf of myself, the rest of the town board, and all the residents. It is so important to do what you both do, but you do it in such a way that you just want to be engaged, you want to come to more events, you want to learn more about where we are and where we've come from as a town. So thank you both.
Well said. Well, we have another honorary tonight. I wonder who that is. The ubiquitous Mr. Frank Bill. So we have a proclamation in Frank's honor, and Councilwoman Reed is going to read it.
Proclamation honoring Frank G. Berlin, key to the town. Whereas, because of the many important contributions that Frank Berlin has made to the town of Clifton Park, Saratoga County, and surrounding areas, we honor him today. And whereas Frank was appointed to the original Open Space Plan Committee established in 2001, which helped develop the public planning process, creation, and adoption of the 2003 Town of Clifton Park Open Space Plan. He continues to be an important member of the current Open Space Trails and Riverfront Committee, as well as Saratoga Plan. And whereas early in his advocacy with the town, Frank encouraged new uses of the Veterans Memorial Park to include establishing trails for nature walking, installing wood duck boxes, and conserving some of the property as grasslands, which would allow permanent meadow habitats for birds, butterflies, and small mammals. In his quest to preserve green space in the town, Frank personally reached out to the Carisi family to invite and cultivate their interest in selling their forested property adjacent to Veterans Park. The town made an agreement to purchase the 80 acres on the southern side of the park and name it the Mooney Carisi Forest. And whereas Frank is a passionate outdoorsman and extremely knowledgeable about the trout streams and water bodies in our community and neighboring communities. He has been a strong advocate of creating access to and increasing public awareness for the Mohawk River and its inhabitants. In 2011, he led an initiative for a kayak canoe launch across access at Mohawk Landing and worked to secure the permanent protection of the Stony Creek Reservoir as a public natural area. His relationship with the Clearwater chapter of Trout Unlimited sparked a program where Shore Middle School students raised trout that were released and stocked into the Dwaskill stream. And whereas, invaluable to our community, Frank was the inspiration of the town's celebration of nature in Clifton Park's Open Spaces event. He was instrumental in acquiring the land for the town center park by personally securing hundreds of signatures of residents to stop the sale of the property to developers and instead allow the town to purchase it and create a beautiful park. His partnership with the town resulted in turtle crossing signs along Riverview Road, and he brought about the naming of Woodcock Preserve on Tanner Road. And whereas, creating and participating in many town family events has been a passion for Frank. He has brought joy and excitement to children with his kite flying day, things that go bump in the night evening, planting wildflowers at the transfer station with the Girl Scouts to provide food and habitat for the honeybees and monarch butterflies, nature walks at the Dwaskill Nature Preserve, and ice fishing programs. And whereas, Frank's spirit of volunteerism knows no bounds, as he is also focused on the history of his small hamlet of Jonesville, spending countless hours maintaining and improving the historic Jonesville Cemetery. He was instrumental in acquiring the bell and fencing on the cemetery property, and currently serves as the treasurer of this beautiful resting place. And whereas, as a resident of Clifton Park for 59 years, Frank Berlin has been a teacher, advocate, naturalist, historian, and most importantly, a friend to the entire town. He is a champion of causes, great and small, that improve our landscape and relationship with nature and its inhabitants. His knowledge and opinions have been invaluable to the town in parks, trails, and riverfront planning and conservation. Frank earned the Clifton Park Environmental Stewardship Award in 2011. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of the people of Clifton Park, the town board awards the key to the town to Frank G. Berlin in recognition of his decades-long commitment to protecting and preserving the town's natural habitats and his tireless volunteerism in our community.
The key to the town is the town's highest honor. And that's what we're bestowing on Frank Berlin this evening. Did you have some comments you want to make?
Every time I speak to Frank, I learn about yet another thing in our community that he was either directly responsible for or that he had a hand in. He is a man who embodies the spirit of selfless dedication. His tireless volunteer efforts have touched many lives, shaped our community for the better, and inspired generations to give back. Frank has consistently chosen to dedicate his time, his energy, his wisdom, and his unwavering enthusiasm to make our town a better place for all of us. Through countless hours of volunteer work, serving on town committees, and attending town meetings, Frank has demonstrated an unparalleled commitment to our shared well-being. Frank is a fixture at public hearings, always engaged, always thoughtful, always holding us accountable, and always striving to make our town a better place. And what's truly remarkable is that while Frank will turn 91 years young this year, he still continues to serve our community with the same energy and passion he's always had. He is a voice of reason, a tireless advocate, and a shining example of civic engagement. Therefore, it is with immense pride and gratitude that we bestow upon Frank Berlin the key to the town. This key is more than just a symbolic gesture. It represents our heartfelt appreciation for his extraordinary contributions, his unwavering dedication, and his profound impact on our community. His commitment is an inspiration to us all. Frank, thank you for your service, your dedication, and your inspiration, for everything you have done and continue to do for this town. May this key serve as a lasting reminder of the love and respect that we all hold for you. Congratulations. The
town that's blessed with dedicated volunteers, and we saw some evidence of that earlier in the meeting. It's difficult to find somebody as dedicated to Frank on a wide-ranging, diverse number of topics. Frank has been so involved in so many different initiatives over the years. I'll never forget, must have been spring of '99, when Frank called me out of the blue and says, will you take a walk with me? I said, yeah, sure, sounds good. Took me up to Veterans Park, pointed out some items that he felt needed to be fixed, and we did. We worked together and fixed those items. And that's been the start of a long friendship and admiration on my part for you, Frank. Then in 2000, I took office and we started our open space planning and preservation efforts. Our chairman at the time was right behind you, Mr. Miller, still chairman. He's behind you to keep an eye on you. And Frank was a charter member of that group. And now, years later, we've permanently preserved 2,000 acres of property. And again, nothing happens without working as a team with dedicated volunteers, working with the town board and staff. And Frank, you have been a monumental figure in the advances that we've made as a town board, certainly over the last 25 plus years that I've been here. So I want to thank you personally and professionally for everything that you've done for the town. Your heart is always in the right place, and you're always looking out for families and kids and what is the greater good of the town. And that's always first and foremost in your mind. And I respect that very much, and I respect you, and I thank you. So maybe now you can join us up front. We'll even let you say a few words. Yeah, well, it's a big night.
Thank you very much. And you too.
Well, Frank, again, on behalf of the town board of the town of Clifton Park, we bestow you with the key to the town's highest honor for volunteerism and involvement in our community. You have truly made Clifton Park a better place to live. And for that, we will always be grateful to you. So God bless you, my friend. He has his Ohio State tie. I just noticed that. But they had a good year last year, so we'll let it go. Well, Frank has spoken at many public hearings. Tonight, we don't have a public hearing, but we're going to hear from Frank anyway. So Frank, if you want to,
All right, I'll put
right
this.
over there. Yeah, I'll give that to you.
Okay.
Frank, do you want to also mention your family members that are here tonight?
Well, yeah, you guys want to
Yeah,
come
come on
up,
up,
the family,
get a
get a
picture,
picture
yeah.
taken?
Come on up.
All, the grandkids too, come on.
Grandkids.
Get up here. All the grandkids. All about to be married once, come on. Engaged once,
No. Can you get everybody in there?
At your left.
Nora's working.
I got it.
Good.
Got it?
Good.
Nora's in front.
Well.
Everybody got it?
All right. Next up to the podium, Frank. Our favorite Buckeye. Well, there's three of them, I think, in the room. Oh, my goodness.
Well, thank you guys for coming. Probably the happiest thing or nice thing I could say to you is that I'm lost for words. I don't know what to say.
Don't believe that.
I just want to tell you, we still have the western part of town, and we have a great eastern part of town too. And it goes in a hurry, guys. And I try to work for the animals and for the people, and there's so much to do. There's so many great people in town. I don't have my teleprompter with me, so I have to just talk off the cuff here. I came here in '64 when my son Paul was born. All right, and I came here because people said you don't want to go up there. I mean, there's nothing going on. They were just finished building the Northway, and I saw the house in Jonesville, and it was like, oh my gosh, the paint was all peeling off of it. Johnny would know, historic, built in 1850. All the windows, the putty was out, and the glass is all wavy, and I did a lot of work, in the house, working on it. And just tell you about my wife who's passed. It was a terrible thing I did. If you're a husband, you shouldn't do this. But every day I went to work at Shaker High School, all right, where my granddaughter now works, right, and my wife made me a sandwich, and I brought a quarter. Right, just tell you what's happened in time. And the milk was a dime, and the soup was 15 cents. Right, so that's what I had every day was my sandwich. So one day, this other teacher, Mert McElwain, said, "Can I borrow some money from you?" And I thought, yeah. I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Well, can I get a milk? I need a dime." And I said, "Well, okay." So I gave a dime. So I had 15 cents. This has to do with a house, I tell you. And this is how my life is. It is so strange. It's unbelievable. Right? I gave him that, and I thought, well, now am I going to get a bowl of soup, or should I just get the milk and keep the nickel? Right? So I got the milk and kept the nickel. Right? Now the house in Jonesville I wanted to buy, and the lady said it was sold. Somebody else bought it. Well, it fell through. The realtor called me at Shaker High School and said, the house is back on the market. You want to buy it? I said, sure. She came over to Shaker High School late in the afternoon. She said, that when we signed the papers, do you have any money? I said, I need a deposit. I said, well, I have a nickel. Can you believe that? And she loaned me $5. It was my wife's birthday, all right, coming up, and I didn't tell her I bought the house. And the house, I'll tell you what, guys, what's going on prices? I got the GI loan. It was $14,000, that house, in 1964, and I couldn't pay for it hardly. I had $200 that I could put down, and so that all went on, And now the town, I'm just telling you what's going on. It's fine. I live in the house, you live in the house. But we have a great town, ends in a P-A-R-K, a park, right? And we're doing great things, trying to balance, farms and outdoor places and trails. So it's been just a wonderful thing to work with everybody in town. I really appreciate it. So this is a big event, all right, for me here. But there also was another big event this year, and Phil mentioned it. In fact, when I first met Phil, he was very young then. And we walked the Veterans Park. And Linda, you walked one time too. Remember what it was like? Oh, it's a wonderful place. If it's horrible for human beings, the creatures love it, So we walked all where it was horrible for us, all in the water and everything. But there are some other people here. I thought this is the other big event that came up this year. I'll share this with you. And so there's some Nittany Lions here that don't like to see this. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. I don't know what to say to you.
So thanks again, Frank, for everything you've done for the town, and we're forever in your debt as a town. So thank you.
That's the problem. Everybody wants to come to
Yes,
this place, you know?
that's right.
So we gotta watch them.
And thank you, everybody that has come out to see Frank tonight, and obviously his family, his growing family, and seen his family grow over the years. They're always very together and supportive of each other, and it's wonderful to see all these years. We'll see if they repeat. All right, so thank you. Good to see you. Okay. Good to see you. It's not a key to the ball.
Nice.
David, good to see you. See you Caputo, right?
Wow.
Yeah, great. See you. Thank you. See you up here. Thank you for Johnny Bob. John, thank you, bud. Thank you. Gloria, you guys are.
Yes, I think so. Oh, good to see you. Oh,
Good to see you up here. Thank you. Thank you very much. So are you. Okay.
But there's so many of them over there. I sent you a text. Tell you, yeah, that one must be. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Ray. Well, that was nice, and it's a great opportunity to recognize somebody that's done so much in our community. So, I think Mr. Morelli has an announcement to make.
Yes, you never want to be in the position of fighting Frank Burley.
Yes, I know.
That is the position I find myself in.
Take care. He's got long minutes.
So I alluded to this at the end of the last meeting, but I wanted to take an opportunity after several years of effort on behalf of many in the town, many volunteers here on the Green and the Tree Committee. Clifton Park was designated a climate smart community and bronze certified by the DEC a few weeks ago. We were one of only a few communities in the capital region. I'm not sure how many throughout the state, but not many. For those of you who aren't familiar with the program, it's a DEC program, and the intent is to recognize communities throughout New York State that have taken substantive efforts towards reducing pollution, enhancing resilience, improving infrastructure for a greener future, ultimately leading to a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. So again, that's something that this community has worked for several years. Some of the actions that we were able to take and put into our application included LED streetlights, installation of 12 level 2 chargers for electric vehicles at various town sites, preservation of hundreds of acres of open space that you alluded to, Supervisor, including 9 acres that we are going to take receipt in through tonight's resolution, Resolution 16. Numerous repair cafes every year, which including one that'll be coming up this month on the 17th of May. We implemented a composting program at the transfer station last year that we are expanding to include now 40 families, and a continuous effort towards expanding our bike and walking paths throughout the community to promote walking and riding bicycles, utilizing vehicles. So, as with anything, it's a team effort. I'd like to thank you, Councilwoman Menear. I'd like to thank, she's not here tonight, but Nancy Tudor has been really a driving force behind this, as well as Diane Delker, Joanne Coons, who are in the back, who are both serve on our Tree and Green Committee, and the rest of our volunteers. And as part of this acknowledgement, we received this beautiful street sign. We've received multiple of these. We're going to be able to put these up at various entrances to the community so that people will know when they enter Clifton Park that we are taking local action to address climate change. So again, this is an award for the entire community. And I've asked members who are in attendance tonight from the Green and Tree Committee, we could just come forward and we will take a photo with this, as well as the town board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
All right, we do have quite a few resolutions tonight, and we never actually voted on that first one. So why don't you read it again? We kind of got, all right, yeah, we kind of lost track of that one as we were talking about the history. So why don't you start with that first one, since we didn't move it and put it on the table.
Sure. Resolution number 100 of 2025, a resolution designating the Elder and Abram Van Wert House to be placed on the Clifton Park Town Register of Historic Places. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby adds the Elder and Abram Van Wert House, 339 Riverview Road, Rexford, to the Town Register of Historic Places.
All right, I'd like to take these one at a time. I'll entertain a motion to move that.
Second.
I obviously want to thank John Scherer again for giving us all the information and details regarding that latest addition to our town's Register of Historic Places. We have dozens of homes now, which is just fantastic. So it's great to see the continued growth of that program. Any further discussion?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Menear?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallach?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 101 of 2025, a resolution authorizing a transfer of $1 million for stormwater infrastructure projects and authorizing an additional transfer for town road paving up to $1 million to the highway fund from general fund, and amending the highway superintendent's 2025 paving budget report per the proposed section 284 agreement. Now therefore be it resolved that authorization is hereby granted to the comptroller to transfer an amount not to exceed $2 million for stormwater infrastructure and paving projects from unassigned fund balance, with an increase in expenditures of $2 million to general fund tax stabilization, highway tax stabilization, And be it further resolved that the authorization is hereby granted to the comptroller to increase revenues in the highway fund, $2 million, highway fund tax stabilization, and to increase expenditures, $1 million, highway fund, highway construction, paving, and $1 million, highway fund, highway construction, slip lining. And be it further resolved that the streets shall be paved during the 2025 paving season using the mill and pave method already specified for all other streets currently named in said agreement. And the highway superintendent shall add the streets when they are determined to the 284 agreement for 2025. And be it further resolved that the proposed highway law, section 284 agreement is to be amended accordingly, and the clerk is asked to keep a file copy of this resolution with the 284 agreement when it is approved.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to suspend vote. Thank you. Discussion. Okay, Stephanie?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Lanier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 102 of 2025, a resolution authorizing creation of the Woodland Hills Park District. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Clifton Park hereby determines that 1, the notice of hearing was published and posted as required by law and is otherwise sufficient. 2, all the property and property owners within the proposed district are benefited thereby. 3, all of the property and property owners benefited are included within the limits of the proposed district. 4, the establishment of this district is in the public interest. And be it further resolved that the map, plan, and report prepared by the town planning staff dated April 2025 be adopted. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby approves the establishment of the Woodland Hills Park District as the boundaries are identified within the adopted map, plan, and report, and approves of the expenditures for maintenance and services as outlined in the report, as may be amended from time to time by the Park District through the annual budget process, to be offset by assessments on the property benefited, such as assessments and charges to be assessed, levied, and collected in the same manner as all other charges against the district, consistent with the engineering map, plan, and report as adopted.
Entertain a motion to move that forward. All right, so I've described, the process of how we arrived at this point a couple of times, including at the public hearing. And I was invited to a neighborhood meeting several months ago. At that meeting, I was asked to speak to possibility of the formation of a park district, and was asked to put together a plan that would provide the neighborhood with some estimated costs and what the plan would entail. That plan, once it was completed, and I want to thank John Scavo and Dan Clemens for their efforts in getting that done. Then I invited the whole neighborhood to a meeting here, and we went through the plan, described what the situation would be moving forward if indeed a park district was contemplated by the town board and subsequently approved. There was a great deal of support at that meeting, and I was asked to ask the town board to consider moving to the next step, which would be a public hearing. We held a public hearing recently. There continues to be a great deal of support for creating the park district. So I think at this point, the neighborhood has been provided with a plan that was mailed to each house in the neighborhood. We had the meetings, explained the plan. So I think at this point, the neighborhood is in a position where they can make an informed decision, and it's been very positive as far as the creation of the park district, which is for your consideration this evening. Much of the town is included in a park district. Many neighborhoods are, and it's a way for us to make sure that we care for public spaces within neighborhoods in Clifton Park. The structure of the park district has been in place for several decades at this point and has worked very well. It encourages local decision-making, volunteerism, and we believe that that is a good thing. People have ownership of what happens within their neighborhood and within the park district itself. Some park districts span multiple neighborhoods. In this case, it would be strictly Woodland Hills. Any discussion at this time?
I would just echo your comments, Supervisor. I did have an opportunity to talk to some of the residents between the public hearing and tonight. I agree there is overwhelming support. I know some of the residents are here again tonight. I actually went through the neighborhood in the last couple of weeks to refamiliarize myself. Forgot how large of a neighborhood it is and how beautiful it is. I know we spoke about the cul-de-sacs, or some of the residents spoke about them that don't. I looked at some of the areas that Mr. LaFlush spoke about, but my understanding is there really is overwhelming support. This makes sense. We have park districts in many other areas of the town. I think it is prudent to move forward because I think that's what the residents are looking for.
Very good. Anyone else? Okay.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walwick?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 103 of 2025, a resolution classifying the establishment of the Woodland Hills Park District as an unlisted action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act and issuing a negative declaration. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Clifton Park Town Board hereby classifies the establishment of the Woodland Hills Park District as an unlisted action pursuant to seeker, and be it further resolved that the town board, based on the information reviewed, hereby issues a negative declaration for the establishment of the Woodland Hills Park District, indicating that the project will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and be it further resolved that the town board authorizes the town supervisor to sign documentation and take any other steps required to implement this resolution.
And the seeker process is required for actions like this. There's a negative declaration. As part of that process, allowing us to move forward, I do want to thank all the folks that attended the neighborhood meetings, the public hearing, and have weighed in between those different meetings. So thank you very much. Please.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walwick?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 104 of 2025, a resolution appointing new members to the Emergency Services Advisory Board. Now therefore be it resolved that Dennis Ayat and John Meehan are hereby appointed as designated from the West Crescent Fire District to the Emergency Services Advisory Board, with terms to expire December 31st, 2025 and December 31st, 2026, respectively.
Second.
And our Emergency Services Advisory Board is comprised of representatives from various first responder agencies, and they designate who they would like to serve on that board. So thank you to West Crescent for sending us that information.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walwick? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 105, 2025, a resolution scheduling a public hearing on a proposal to amend chapters 152 and 153 of the town code to prohibit the use of e-bikes in town nature preserves and town parks. Now therefore be it resolved that a public hearing will be held on May 19th, 2025 at 7:02 p.m. in the Wood Memorial Room, 1 Town Hall Plaza, Clifton Park, New York, on a proposal to amend chapters 152 and 153 of the town code to prohibit the use of e-bikes in town nature preserves and town parks, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is directed to publish appropriate notice of the same.
Very good. So this will set the public hearing for May 19th on this topic, right after the start of the meeting. So anybody that is interested, please join us at the hearing. Any discussion?
Yeah, I mean, just as the popularity of e-bikes has increased over the past several years, so has the number of complaints that we've received at the town, through our town security, through law enforcement, about people using those e-bikes inappropriately in preserves, parks, and sidewalks throughout the town. So this is a public hearing, setting a public hearing to consider making changes in our code that will address those complaints. We understand there are times where mechanized transport is used for people who are mobility impaired, so that's something I believe that's already in our code, but certainly that we understand and would consider in any future legislation. But again, this is to set a public hearing to solicit feedback from residents as to what is appropriate in our town going forward. Easy bikes haven't been utilized in the numbers that they're being utilized now in the past. I mean, it become much more utilized, so it's time to at least have a discussion as a town and consider some potential amendments to our town codes.
Very good, thank you. Any further discussion?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 106 of 2025, a resolution requesting that the New York State Legislature amend labor law, section 130, to permit the employment of minors under 14 years of age as referees, umpires, or field judges at sporting events. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Clifton Park requests that the New York State Legislature amend labor law, section number 130, to permit the employment of minors under 14 years of age as referees, umpires, or field judges at sporting events.
Thank you. I posted a public statement a week from Friday, and it was about this topic. There was an audit done recently on a youth sports organization, and part of that audit, the youth sports organization was told to discharge all referees or umpires under the age of 14 from employment in that capacity. And they were also fined $5,000. And the structure of utilizing referees, umpires, game officials that are under 14 has been in place for decades. It's a normal standard of operation. It allows the sports organizations to offer as many competitive opportunities for as many children as possible, and that's their goal. My kids were very young when they were soccer referees. It was a great experience. They were trained. We gave them an opportunity to be in a position of responsibility, gain experience, and they learned quite a bit from that experience. So it benefited them and the referees that have been serving in this capacity for many years. It served in this case, the soccer club well, because the soccer club had many more referees than they would have had otherwise, which means they can offer more competitive games for our youth, and also benefited the families as well. So it's been an important part of youth sports for a very long time. Currently, there are exceptions to the law in New York State for employment under the age of 14. They include child model, child performers, newspaper delivery, which I think goes to age 11, and farm work. So those are some of the exceptions that are currently in the law that say if you're working in those capacities, you can work under the age of 14. So my simple request in the public statement was to also provide an exception for youth referees under the age of 14. I also said in the public statement that we understand that these organizations should follow all applicable rules and regulations regarding payment and any other part of the New York State Department of Labor laws, but a simple exception for these kids so they can referee or umpire under 14 is extremely important. Many sports organizations, not just here in the Capital District, but in many other areas, a majority of their umpires or referees are under 14. So if they can no longer have referees or umpires under the age of 14, it is going to severely hamper their ability to offer competitive play on a large scale within their organizations. It will have likely less participants, less members, which could lead to some of these organizations to become insolvent. Obviously, we should be doing everything we can to encourage youngsters to, at a young age or any age really, to get out there and compete, to learn fresh air, exercise, and learn how to work as a team. Not every kid that starts out at any of the baseball, t-ball, or soccer, or Mission, or other organizations, when they start out at say 5 years old, very few will play in college. Very few will ever make it to the pros, with a little exception here and there, like Mr. Herter or Mr. Anderson. And many won't even go on to play in high school. They might just play as a youth. But what they learn as being part of a team in a competitive atmosphere is invaluable to them. So we should be doing everything we can to encourage participation in youth sports. It's critical for kids and their development. So I understand there's rules and regulations to follow, but a simple exception will allow these sports organizations to continue to operate as they have been for many years, and they will be ensured that they're doing it legally. The last thing I want to see is volunteer-led organizations being subject to multi-month audits and fines. That's not a road that we should be going down. We should be doing just the opposite. Work with these youth sports organizations, partner with them to say, what can we do to make sure that you can be successful and serve as many young participants as possible. Now, I understand not everybody wants their kid to be a referee for whatever reason, but that's a parental decision. We all make parental decisions about what we would like to see our kids do. I delivered newspapers at a young age. I'm sure there's many parents that wouldn't want their kid to deliver newspapers. There's parents that don't want their kids to play certain sports for some reason. There's parents that don't want their kid to do various other extracurricular activities, but they have their own personal reasons. So if you want your child to have this opportunity to be a referee or an umpire under the age of 14, then that's a parental decision, not a decision that should be made for everybody by people that don't want their kid to be a referee or an umpire for any reason. I wouldn't criticize that at all. That's certainly up to each individual family, and it should be left as a decision for each and every family. So again, the request is very simple: an exception to allow youth referees and umpires. This is not a new initiative that I or anybody else is bringing forth. This has been the structure for many organizations for decades. I just think, and we just think, that it should continue to be able to be utilized as a way for these organizations to have a sufficient number of referees and umpires. We hear all the time at every age of youth sports, from high school, college, high school on down, there's a severe shortage of referees and umpires. So let's not take away this opportunity from these kids and families who want to be referees and umpires. And, like I said prior, having them serve in that capacity allows these organizations to be successful and thrive. That's very simply, basically what the statement said, and this is what we're asking for. I met with the Department of Labor a few weeks ago. I have not heard back from them. hope to hear something soon. Also contacted our local state legislators. Hopefully we will see some movement in the direction of creating an exception, just as there is for child models, child performers, newspaper delivery, and farm work. Any other discussion or questions?
Yeah, I just add a few comments, Supervisor. First of all, I think your comments are on point. I appreciate your leadership on this. I would join in your request of our legislature to delineate this exception that has been in practice for several years. Like you, my children participated in youth sports and as referees in our local soccer program, as well as umpires for the Miss Shen softball. I think your comments were absolutely correct in those regards. I would also add, I served on the board for Miss Shen softball for several years, and I still have quite a few acquaintances and friends and colleagues on that board, as well as some of our other local boards. And now these adult volunteers are in a quandary, knowing that the Department of Labor has identified this as an issue with at least one league. And the quandary is, well, what do we do going forward? Do we continue to utilize youth for referee and umpire positions? Do we not use referees and umpires? Do we schedule less games? Do we hire adults, which would obviously be more expensive, and that cost be borne by the league or the parents or guardians registering their children? So it's really put these leagues in a difficult spot that I believe, and as you laid out, Supervisor, can be quickly remedied if the legislation provided for an exception. And it's just one that makes sense. It's one that has been utilized in practice for years, has significant benefits to the athletes, has significant benefits to the umpires and refs who are usually athletes themselves, who are usually refereeing or umpiring lower level and actually acting as role models in that regard. So again, I do echo your comments. I think it makes sense. As I look into the audience, I know we have a youth umpire who is here. I expect that you may have some comments during public privilege and a different perspective to give us once we get to that point, and I'm looking forward to those comments as well. But I certainly will be voting in favor of this resolution.
Yeah, so it's a common sense approach to fixing this problem, and I think has a tremendous amount of support. The leagues that I've spoken to, their reaction was shock and concern. With this, I'm not on their boards. They're all private organizations. They're not intertwined with the town as far as their operations and finances are concerned. Other than in the case of Clifton Park and many other communities, we partner with various sports leagues with the use of fields. But generally, that is how things are structured within municipalities and youth sports leagues. So we don't make the decisions for them, but my advice has been don't change anything. And your seasons have started. Don't ruin your seasons. And let's wait and see what New York State comes back with. I think we deserve an answer and a response. And the other thing I did mention to the Department of Labor is audits are intended to establish precedent. So if this is going to be the precedent, then this information should be publicized as guidance to all of these organizations. Hopefully a change will be made, and that is the guidance that is publicized. Some states do allow, I don't know how many, but I know there are states that allow referees under 13. In the case of soccer, at least, probably the other sports do, but as far as the national organizations, their standard is 13. But if you look at their website, they'll say each state is different, so check the regulations in your state. So that's also part of this situation. All right. If there's no further comment, we will.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier? Councilwoman Walwick? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 107 of 2025, a resolution requesting an amendment to General Municipal Law, Section 3C, exempting solar pilot agreements from tax cap calculations. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Clifton Park requests that the New York State Legislature amend General Municipal Law, Section 3C, to exempt payments to a municipality pursuant to a solar pilot be exempt from reducing the total amount to be raised through property taxes charged on the municipality's assessed value property.
Second.
So this is another request for a change from New York State. Now currently, we have various solar arrays that have been constructed in town. New York State obviously has a very aggressive program where they want to see the proliferation of these solar arrays throughout New York State. And there's billions and billions of dollars in public money that subsidizes all of these green energy projects. But when the normal process is when a solar array is constructed in a municipality, there is a solar pilot agreement that is negotiated. That solar pilot agreement and any others we have are included in our tax cap calculations. And it actually reduces the amount of money that we can use at budget time. So say it's a 2% tax cap, each pilot would erode that 2% that we're allowed before we get to the point of breaking the tax cap. So if New York State has this very aggressive program, they put a great deal of time and effort and your money into paying for these green energy projects. And it's a decision that's been made by the state government. And there's communities that have these solar arrays throughout New York State. Why are we being penalized when it comes time to do our budget, through our tax cap calculations? I did receive some good news today. I've talked to the New York League of Conservation Voters, DC, local legislators, and Association of Towns, and asked for their support on this. I just learned today from Assemblywoman Warner's office, word is spread on this, and they informed me that their legislation has been submitted in the state legislature, and that Assemblyman Warner is a co-sponsor or signed on to the bill. So, good news, progress. Now we just need the legislature to get it over the line with enough support, and then have it signed by the governor. And that will, I think, be a much more fair process for all of these municipalities, because as the number of solar arrays grow in your municipality, and you get new solar arrays on a regular basis, that is going to continue to erode our tax cap threshold. So that, and the other thing is, there was a recent appeals court decision. There was a community that was fighting a solar project. They lost. And part of the decision discussed that the state has deemed solar energy is for the public good. So if it's something that New York State is said is for the public good, there's a tremendous amount of public money subsidizing these projects, and the appeals court used that in their decision that it's for the public good, then I don't think municipalities should be penalized when it comes to our tax cap calculation. So we've already seen some progress here. We'll be tracking it. We'll give you updates in the future, and hopefully this will get over the finish line. It'll help every municipality in New York State that has a solar array in their town. Any discussion, questions? Okay.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walwick?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 108 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the purchase of one two-piece flashing crosswalk system. Now therefore be it resolved that authorization is hereby granted for the purchase of one two-piece Carmanana, the R920E solar RRFB crosswalk system at a total cost of $6,650 from Traffic Safety Equipment. And be it further resolved that the location listed above will have the beacons installed by the Highway Department within 2 weeks of delivery. And if the beacons are not installed within that time frame, a contractor will be hired for the installations.
So,
Okay, we have, these are the pedestrian crosswalk signs on either side of a crosswalk. And we began this as a pilot project several years ago, and we continue to build out the number of them in strategic areas. We do have one just up the road at Barney in Mo. This one would be constructed at Par del Rio in Mo. So want to thank the board for their support. And this will further help pedestrian access from Clifton Knolls onto the Mo Road Trail in our vast and expansive trail system. Any further discussion?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walwick?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 109 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an easement to National Grid for the purpose of relocating and maintaining utility service at the town transfer station. Now therefore be it resolved, the supervisor is authorized to execute the attached easement to National Grid.
We're working cooperatively in Saratoga County at our transfer station. There's going to be a major project there. As you go down into the recycling center, the first building is larger than the rest. That will be taken down. There's going to be extensive work on the concrete foundation underneath that portion of our recycling center at the transfer station. And this is part of that, this agreement with National Grid, so they can come in, do the work, and disconnect and connect the electric service appropriately. Okay, discussion.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilwoman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walwick?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 110 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the hiring of Zachary Lawler as a 2025 seasonal laborer for the Buildings and Grounds Department. Now therefore be it resolved that Zachary Lawler be hired as a laborer for the Buildings and Grounds Department for the summer of 2025 to be paid at $60.50 an hour, effective immediately, and to be budgeted from General Fund, Buildings and Grounds, part-time laborer.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilwoman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walwick?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 111 of 2025, a resolution awarding the contract for landscape work for the Clifton Knolls Park District. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board, as commissioners of Clifton Knolls Park District, hereby accepts the price quote from Dirt Decor Designs for the landscape work at the Clifton Knolls Park District at a cost of $8,130 for supplying and installing plantings at 12 locations within the Park District to be budgeted from Clifton Knolls Park District labor and general maintenance.
Okay, an RFP went out, planting plan. There's also some optional planting ideas, various locations in Clifton Knolls. So it's part of a annual beautification project in the neighborhood. Discussion. Okay.
Councilman Morelli? Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walwick?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 112 of 2025, a resolution accepting the attached list of camp counselors and alternate counselors to be hired as needed for the town summer camp locations. Now therefore be it resolved that the attached Schedule A is accepted as a list of 2025 summer camp counselors and alternate counselors to be hired if needed, to be paid as noted on the schedule.
So moved.
All right, so we have, we're filling out our counselor positions for our camps. And we've had great response to our kids, youngsters who are interested in being a camp counselor. And very happy to have a big group. Okay. So,
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
yes,
Resolution 113 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the hiring of a pool manager for Barney Road Pool for the 2025 season. Now therefore be it resolved that Isabel Adams is hereby hired as pool manager for the Barney Road Pool for the 2025 season to be paid $25.05 an hour, to be paid from general fund, Barney Road Pool, pool manager.
all right, so we're very pleased to bring Isabel Adams aboard. She has been a head guard and a guard at Barney Road for a few years. She only needed one class to have all of her certifications to be a pool manager, and there's quite a few. I believe she's already completed that course, and we're very happy to bring her aboard. I want to thank Bruce Sutphin. Bruce was a guard for many years. Years ago, he's been the manager of the pool for a number of years and has been a very important part of our team, management team at the pool. So I want to thank Bruce for all of his years of leadership and ensuring the safety of all of the patrons at the pools in Barney Road and Locust, while they could enjoy a good time. And hopefully it'll stop raining. We can get the pools open.
Swim in the rain.
Yeah, I guess you can swim in the rain. It's not as fun though. Right. So,
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
yes,
Resolution number 114 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a license agreement with Clifton Park Half Moon Piranhas for use of the Country Knoll pools for swim team practice. Now therefore be it resolved, the town supervisor is hereby authorized to sign the attached license agreement with Clifton Park Half Moon Piranhas for use and occupation of the Country Knolls pool, provided that the town attorney reviews and accepts the attached certificate of insurance, naming the town of Clifton Park as additionally insured.
Second.
it's a continuation of a relationship that we have with the Clifton Park Piranhas at Country Knolls. Stephanie?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed? Yes. Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes,
Resolution number 115 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of approximately 9.26 acres of land from C&J Property Holdings LLC. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Clifton Park Town Board hereby accepts the transfer of approximately 9.26 acres of land from C&J Property Holdings LLC. And be it further resolved that the town board directs the town attorney, town open space coordinator, and planning staff to prepare and execute all necessary documents to complete the land transfer. And be it further resolved that the town board acknowledges that this land transfer fulfills the conditions set forth in the notice of decision issued by the planning board on June 11th, 2019 for the subdivision for lands of Santoro and Messere.
Second.
discussion.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes,
Resolution number 116 of 2025, a resolution setting a public hearing to consider adoption of a local law establishing the planned development district for Bass Pro Shop signage at 400 Clifton Park Center Road. Now therefore be it resolved that a public hearing to consider a local law establishing a Bass Pro Shop PDD is hereby scheduled for June 16, 2025 at 7:02 p.m. in the Wood Memorial Meeting Room, 1 Town Hall Plaza, Clifton Park, New York, and be it further resolved that the town clerk shall publish appropriate notice of the same.
Second.
so this will establish the time of the public hearing. Scott Reese is here. The sign package for Bass Pro is quite involved and detailed, and that precipitated the option to go this route, right, Scott?
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, with the amount of signage and this being a regional anchor store, this is a unique situation, and this is their, trademark in a way of, with all the size of the building that we have and all the different stores and other businesses that it has inside. properly advertised, and also for it to be visible along Route 87 as everyone's heading up to at the Adirondack Park.
Yeah, right. All right, so Scott will be at the public hearing to answer any questions and to review the package as it has been presented.
Correct.
All right, good. All right. Stefan?
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet? Yes. Supervisor Barron?
Yes.
Resolution number 117 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute an agreement with New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets for grant reimbursement for professional farmland protection planning services for the town. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign the attached grant disbursement contract with New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets for professional services to create a farmland protection and agriculture enhancement plan.
So this resolution allows us to execute an agreement for a grant and also receive the funds for our ongoing town farmland preservation plan. We have permanently preserved 4 farms to this point, but we're always planning for the future. So, any discussion?
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilwoman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet? Yes. Supervisor Barron?
Yes.
Resolution number 118 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a mass gathering permit to Gillette Shows Incorporated to sponsor a carnival at Clifton Park Center. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board is satisfied with the information provided and that the potential effect of the proposed public assemblage will have minimal effect upon the public health, safety, and welfare of the people and property of the town of Clifton Park. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby directs that a permit be issued to Gillette Shows Inc. for a public assemblage to be held in front of Clifton Park Center from Wednesday, May 28th through Sunday, June 1st, 2025, for the sole purpose of sponsoring a carnival, provided that the town is given a certificate of insurance in the amount of $1 million, naming the town of Clifton Park as additionally insured.
So, second.
Yeah, so the Clifton Park Center Mall has had similar events in the past. We haven't had any issues during those events. A mass gathering permit is required as part of the approval process, and that's what you have in front of you for consideration. Any discussion?
Are they bringing additional security or law enforcement?
Correct, yeah, they are hiring out and under contract security people to be there at the beginning of the events, and also working with our fire chief as far as, you know, any kind of emergency control or barricades that are, you know, sometimes necessary to be around some of these functions. So, you know, we asked them additional questions, so yes, they will have security there.
Okay, thanks.
Good. Anything else we should know on this, Scott, before we?
No, you know, in this case, we did ask them several of these questions. You know, we did adapt a new type of mass gathering permit, you know, for these questions, so we knew that up front. So we feel comfortable that they have, you know, a gathering that will be well run and organized.
Good, thank you. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, Stephanie?
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Minier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet?
Yes.
Supervisor Barron?
Yes.
Resolution number 119 of 2025, a resolution designating the new Bishop Ferry Nature Preserve photo contest proceeds go towards maintenance of the preserve. Now therefore be it resolved that all proceeds realized from the sales of photos from the annual Bishop Ferry Nature Preserve photo contest go towards maintenance of the preserve, and be it further resolved that the comptroller is authorized to establish certain accounting records which will segregate the proceeds to establish a town board designated fund to account for the proceeds of the photo contest.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
So we are establishing a designated fund specifically for the proceeds generated from the sale of stunning photographs capturing the essence of the Bishop Ferry Historic Nature Preserve. These photographs, as you know, are the incredible submissions that we received during last year's successful photo contest. The talent and passion displayed by our local photographers were truly inspiring, and we wanted to find a way to ensure that their art contributes directly to the very place that inspired them. Therefore, every dollar earned from the sale of these photos will be channeled directly into improvements and enhancements within Bishop Ferry Historic Nature Preserve. These could potentially include new trails, improved signage, habitat restoration, educational programs or any other project that will benefit the delicate ecosystem that makes the preserve so special, along with the visitors who enjoy it. This is a fantastic opportunity to support local art while simultaneously investing in the preserve and in the preservation of our natural resources. All who purchase these beautiful photographs will be directly contributing to the future of the preserve. And speaking of the future, just want to announce one more time that our next photo contest will be launching this June. So get your cameras ready and prepare to capture the magic of Fisher Ferry once again. We can't wait to see the stunning images that you create. So stay tuned for an upcoming announcement regarding this year's contest, which will be posted on cliftonpark.org and the town's social media accounts.
Great. Yeah, the contest was a lot of fun. We had a great deal of participation, so great idea on your part.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion?
Great program.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilwoman Meunier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 120 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the hiring of Scott Skinner as part-time armed court officer. Now therefore be it resolved that authorization is hereby given to hire Scott Skinner as a part-time armed court officer at grade 6, step 1, $30.24 an hour, effective immediately, to be paid from general fund security part-time court officer.
Okay. Lou?
Yes, Scott Skinner here. He's has a lot of background in as an emergency responder. He's currently the director of Stillwater or Malta Stillwater EMS. He's had background as a fire chief, security officer, armed security officer, and I think he'd be would fit into our program well.
Great. Yeah, Scott has a great deal of experience in security. As Lou mentioned, he's a leader in the EMS community in Saratoga County and will be a great addition to the team. Right now, we have an individual out on medical, we have another one retiring, and I saw you. Have another one retiring and another one that has less availability. So we want to continue to add to our contingent of armed guards at the courts. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Discussion.
Yes, it's my understanding that Scott also met with the staff of the court building,
Yes.
and they all agreed that he'd be a great fit for the team.
Yep. Very good. Stephanie?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilwoman Meunier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. That's it, right? We have one item left over from, what's that? From the last meeting, yeah.
Yeah, so I would make a motion to take off the table the resolution for contracting for paving services and paving related materials for the town highway department.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. We'll call him over.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilwoman Meunier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallet?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. We entertain a motion to approve the resolution now that it's off the table.
So
Is there a second? Okay. Stephanie?
Give it a number?
Yeah.
Okay. Resolution number 121 of 2025, a resolution contracting for paving services and paving related materials for the town highway department. Now therefore be it resolved that the highway superintendent is authorized to enter a pavement services contract with Evolution Construction Services, Mechanicville, New York for Saratoga County Contract 24, PWPSR 46R, and to obtain paving related materials in the amount up to $1,650,000 with invoices to be paid from Highway Fund, Highway Construction, Paving and Blacktop, $1,650,000 from Highway Fund, Permanent Improvements, and other contractual.
You good?
Councilman Morale?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed?
Yes.
Councilwoman Meir?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waller? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, all right. Any other business to come before the board this evening? Okay. We'll go to public privilege. If you'd like to speak on a town matter, please raise your hand. We'll ask that you come forward, state your name and address for the record, and please give you 5 minutes or less. Yes. Come on up, sir.
My name is Brady Osmick, and I live at 10 Tracy Court. I come here tonight not as an angry resident, not as a critic, and not as an opponent. I come to thank the town supervisor, Phil Barrett, for raising awareness and calling on the state to help youth sports, as well as the rest of the town board here tonight for voting in favor. A little over a week ago now, I learned how the state was imposing a new restriction on local referees and our youth sports. The state decided to enforce a restriction that would not only allow for certain referees and other youth officials to be under the age of 14 no longer. What they didn't know with doing this, about half the referees for all local youth sports would be in the immediate crossfire by this action. I discussed this issue with friends of mine from other nearby towns who also are youth officials. They said that this also would impact about half of their officials. I've worked now as a youth umpire since I was 13. I'm now 17. Because of COVID restrictions, I wasn't allowed to umpire at the age of 12, otherwise I would have. Growing up, I looked forward to playing youth baseball in the town. Every spring I could remember, I would sign up and play. Once I stopped playing baseball, it worked perfectly. My first year as an umpire, I no longer played baseball, but I was still able to keep a passion and enjoy something I loved. When I started, I was only getting paid $15 a game. It wasn't a lot, but that didn't matter to me. I was having fun and learning more from this and learning more about being a hard worker. I also learned how to be a leader. To not allow these young boys and girls to officiate youth sports, the state's ultimately restricting young men from inspiring kids in youth sports to give back. And the state is going to cause a shortage. This plan will only cause more issues than it will solve. Here's why. If they think that this will stop child labor, they're flat out wrong. You're missing the fact this opportunity teaches leadership, handling conflict, and promotes a work ethic in our youth. If we want to curb a lack of work ethic in our teens, then I have no words and no comprehension of how people can, in their good conscience, enforce this policy. If there's an argument about the mental health and well-being of minors, I understand that. However, I can speak for myself and most of my peers that we're happier when we get to be able to be out in the outside. We get to be able to interact. And with prioritizing education, I also find you wrong there. The games are played at 6 o'clock for the most part, whether during the middle of the week, at least in my experience as a baseball youth umpire. And when I have other games on the weekend, usually in the morning, usually in the evening, and fits my schedule pretty well. As it stands now, the law, quote, provides exceptions for, including for child models, child performers, newspaper delivery, and farmer. In my opinion, the job of being a child model or performer is so much more demanding than being a youth sports official. They're being exploited for monetary gain, and they're not always being paid fairly. As a youth official, you're well compensated, and you're having a great time. From the few I've spoken to who officiate other sports and starting under the age of 14, nobody feels there is any need for this policy to be enforced. There's just no logical explanation for preventing them from working. It's not like we have elementary age kids out here officiating. As far as I know, you have to be in the middle school at the minimum to officiate any of these youth sports. Most likely, 7th or 8th grade, the age at which, in my opinion, you start maturing and learning basic leadership skills. We need the state to rewrite child labor laws to include youth officials. Not only is the ability to be a youth official a growing opportunity for my peers, but it's an opportunity for the state to help an issue they seem so against fixing, youth involvement. And this issue goes so much more beyond that. People learn practices on how to be a leader and how to get involved. I have a friend who attends school in South Carolina. They started their working career as a youth basketball official here in the town, getting paid not the most, but now they go to college, right? They're now refereeing in football. They're now doing volleyball. They're doing a broad number of sports that they didn't do while they were here. It was the passion and leadership they were able to gain through this opportunity that they're now broadening to a different state and a different region of this country. And that's why this is important. So my message I want to leave with people is that all you do by imposing this is hurt local youth sports. You hurt the kids, and you leave your community struggling. We need our lawmakers in Albany to step up and rewrite this policy. Either amend the law and put more pressure on the state to not enforce this out-of-touch policy. Thank you.
Thank you, very well said. Appreciate it. Now, how, you were 13 when you started umpiring?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, hopefully that's past the statute of limitations. I think for my older kids it has. But, yeah, I think that's a very good example of a fine young man, well-spoken, obviously benefited from this experience at a young age. And we appreciate you coming here and talking about it in such a forthright way. It's obviously an issue that means a great deal to you. So you're still umpiring today, now that you're a little older.
Yeah, I'm actually one of our umpire supervisors, so I get to oversee the training and development of the younger umpires who start.
At 17?
Yes.
Oh, my. Now.
Where it really works.
Yeah, right, yeah. So, another part of this I haven't been able to confirm yet is I was told by a league that if you're the ages 14 and 15, you can't work past 7 o'clock.
I don't think that applies to us. I know.
Well,
I was at least doing it when I was 14 and 15. Oops.
Wow, yeah. And you were umpiring at 13.
Yeah.
And then when you hit 16, it goes to 9 or 10 o'clock. But if it's true that 14 and 15, you can't work past 7, that is going to have a significant impact on schedules. What are we going to do? Have parents, get their kids to the fields at 5 o'clock? I mean, it's so that's another part of this equation I haven't been able to confirm yet. But if that's true, that's another very, very concerning part of the labor law. So, like you said, like I mentioned earlier, simple exception will solve this problem. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Yes. Come on up. How are you?
Ann Connolly, Clifton Park, New York. I'd like to thank Mr. Clemens and the town board for approving the resolution for Dirt and Decor to beautify the Clifton Knolls Mill Creek development. We're really looking forward to new eyes, new work, and beautifying our home. Also, I'd like to mention that I think it was a wise decision with going with the lowest bid, as there's much more that we want to do in the development, and we realize it takes money. So if you spend the money, the taxpayer dollars prudently, that allows us in the future to buy the wish list we want. Possibly maybe playground equipment that is not for toddlers, but maybe for 5 to 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And by not spending $31,000 and spending $8,000, maybe in a year or two, we can get that equipment that everybody would love to have on Locust Lane. So again, thank you for approving that budget, and thank you, Mr. Clemens, for presenting that resolution.
Yeah, we're currently working hard on a rebuild of the Longhill Park District playground, and we also have some options for people to view for Locust. So that's coming very soon. Right, Dan? Yes, sir. All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Marlis.
Hi.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a long meeting.
Show me what you got. Here to tell you a news story. So June 19th last year is a new holiday, and the town of Clifton Park was closed.
Right.
It was a federal holiday.
Yep.
So we didn't have buildings and grounds, we didn't have security, we didn't have anything. It was 93 degrees, and 40 people descended on the ponds at Valencia and Broadway Flag.
Mm-hmm.
We had one boat, many canoes, many kayaks,
Wow.
and one mom insisting that her son was 7 years old, should go in the water and swim. And I said, it's algae. I know we've put chemicals in this pond for 25 years, I wouldn't suggest it. And she said, there's no sign. There's no reason I can't swim here. There's no reason I can't have a boat. I can't have kayaks. I can't this. There's no sign saying I can't do it. I said, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
But she said, I'm protesting because of the swimming pools. And I'm not gonna pay for swimming pools, and so my son is gonna swim here. I said, okay, fine. With that, another mother said, well, I'm here protesting because of the swimming pools. I want free swimming pools because of I pay taxes. And I said, well, if you had children that were lifeguards, would you expect them to work for free? And she said, absolutely not. And I said, well, I guess that's why we have to charge. And she said, I got your point, but I don't like it. Okay. Charlie and I, have 4 kids. Now, granted, they are Phil Barrett's age.
Ouch.
That old? Oh, gosh.
Yes, they are.
All right.
And so with 4 kids, I get it, okay?
Yeah.
I get it, and you're yours. But I did email you, I did call you twice to tell you all this, and you didn't answer me. Now, my old kids do call me and answer my calls. So it's called respect. So I'm gonna give you a copy.
When was that?
You got your date right on my email.
Okay. Yeah, you could give me that.
Yeah, you have not answered it yet.
But it was about signage?
It's about signage, and just so you know what's coming. Because I don't think we want this going on. And I don't, and oh, by the way, the kid that went swimming, I heard about Labor Day, that the medical bills for the kid with the skin problems from the algae were still going on and were more money than had they got the swimming pool.
Do we, all right, yeah, we'll look into that.
So
do we have any signage about swim? I don't think we do.
Well, there's nothing, all you have to do is thin ice.
Yeah, well, we do have that.
And here it is.
Thank you. No, we would not recommend anybody swim in the ponds. Clifton Knolls?
Why would you swim in those ponds?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
What's that?
Well,
I'll try.
So when you see what
It's not
you'll
working,
catch,
though.
right? And it might not be a fish. Hey, how you doing? How are you?
Thank you. Anyone else?
So,
Yes.
You got it. So are the canoes and kayaks allowed in the pond?
No.
Okay, no. Then that should be.
Good evening, Suzanne Moore, Belmont Lane, Chair
Any of
of the Clifton Knolls Mill Creek Park District. I'm here to express our disappointment and displeasure with the decision that you've made to choose Dirt & Decor as the vendor for our project. While this person might be very interesting and great, Kirk Tranka's efforts and work are far superior. We asked for you in the fall to make an initial large investment to save money and then to put this project in and then to maintain it over years. Mr. Tranka is willing to work with Dan's employees to teach them how to curate this investment. We knew that phase 1 was the mums. They were beautiful. They were decimated by improper curation in the spring. So you've managed to upset the whole neighborhood over 2 years of mum debacles. That's a unusual talent. 2023, we spent thousands of dollars on mums, 3,000 plus. They were torn out by a B&G employee, Buildings and Grounds, who did this of her own volition. The next year, we decided to do something different because people were upset. We asked for the initial investment of the $5,000 for Kirk Tranka's mums, which are far superior. This man has a region-wide stellar reputation. He does the Saratoga Park entrances and many other places. People take professional portraits in front of them, okay? He's amazing. He's willing to take his time to spend the money to invest in an installation that will be enduring and long-lasting if properly cared for. Every year for 30 years, we have spent all kinds of thousands of dollars. You would know this, Mark, because you've complained about it, I've heard. And yet, we don't get anywhere with it. It's still the same junk year after year, and it's not properly cared for. Why can't we have something nice? Why can't we make it beautiful and everlasting and gorgeous, like a commercial installation, as Mr. Tranka does many of your projects for many of your other buildings? This is very disappointing. We were not consulted with the plan of changing 18 beds to 12 and 6 with volunteers. You have no control over volunteers. There's no accountability with volunteers. Planting stuff that anybody wants to put in costs money to take out when it overgrows and it's not properly cared for. This is well documented with an incident of overgrown perennials that somebody put in that cost us $8,000 to take out. So I have emailed you all Thursday and asked you respectfully to please reconsider this and choose excellence. Why can't we have nice things? It's not about money. We could have spent $100,000 on playground equipment and gotten a bank loan, but we were careful and respectful. We're tired of wasting money on inferior products, inferior plants that look like junk. We want a professional to make it right, because this is a beautiful old neighborhood and it should look like $1 million new neighborhood. There's no reason. Money is not the reason. We want nice things. You approved the budget, Mr. Hagan.
I want you to.
That supports this project. We should be able to do this project. It's important to us. And a lot of people are very upset over it. They're not here tonight for different reasons. That's what I'm saying. If you have an advisory committee and you ask us to spend our time doing that as giving you ideas what the neighbors want, then why aren't you regarding that? Why aren't you responding to what we request? Why? Why do you not answer my email when I say we don't agree with this? This was not the original plan. It's ignored. I would like an answer respectfully. Now, you have the ultimate jurisdiction. You can do what you want to do. It's all up to you. But then you decide whether or not you need an advisory committee or you don't. Make your choice. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Well, we corresponded quite a few times, I would say, in the last couple of years. And one thing you had mentioned, you had asked multiple times, why do we need to put this out to bid? And I explained that we have a town procurement policy that Mr. Clemens or any other department head has to follow. So they have to follow the procurement policy. So naturally, we have to put it out to bid. And the plan that was put out to bid, the difference in pricing was very substantial. Mr. Tranka was by far higher. We had a bid of $81.30, which was the low bid. We had a second bid of $13,290, and then a bid of $31,355. So it's such a huge difference between the bids, and we are following the procurement policy to make sure that we're accepting the low bid. This is a Clifton Park company. You've worked with them in the past, right, Dan?
Yes, sir.
Would you consider them professional?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, so based on that, this is their business. They're professional. The price is not even in the ballpark, the pricing. And I believe at the end of the day, we'll have a very nice product. As far as the mum maintenance, what have we been doing to maintain the mums?
We trimmed them down this initial spring. You trim all the dead stuff off, and there's something green there, it'll start to grow. Then about a month, you have to continue to shape them as they grow over the summer. And that's we've done the first rounds.
which we did.
Mhm.
And the recommended time schedule from the person we bought them from. And,
So Mr. Tranca gave you that
correct.
suggestion as far as the maintenance and care
He did.
of the, okay. And we, kudos to Dan, because the neighborhood was looking at a substantial amount of mums that they wanted to purchase. And if I remember correctly, we didn't have any of our normal suppliers could meet that demand, and you had started calling and see if we could get companies that could meet the demand, and found that gentleman's business, and he could meet the demand, and he was the low bid at that time, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, so again, to consider spending 31,000 when we have a professional bid of 8,100 and change for a Clifton Park company, that's, I don't know, it's be difficult to rationalize spending the 31,000 and change. The bids were laid out for everybody, so they knew what they were bidding on. And we do encourage volunteerism in all of our park districts, all of our neighborhoods. And when volunteers step forward and want to work on beautification projects or anything else, park cleanup day, whatever the case may be, we encourage that, and it's something we like to see as often as possible. So, yes.
She wants to speak.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
My name's Kimberly Staff. I live in Madrid Court in Clifton Knolls. And I saw that this was on the agenda tonight. I was really excited to see some beautiful flowers in our neighborhood. Wanted to come and just express some concerns that we had regarding kind of what happened in the fall. Just, there were a lot of mums.
Yeah.
And as, you know, I have a landscaper because I don't know anything about plants other than I enjoy them. And he had commented, hey, you know, those are really, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of space for perennials, which I was hoping was going to be the next phase of that plan.
Agree.
So my comment is, you know, whoever we're looking at, it sounds like you have a great company in mind and we have a good plan. And I'm just hoping that they take into account the long term. You know, you put too many of anything in, and obviously there's no room for something else.
Right.
And we don't want to have to see us take out plants to fit seasonals.
Mm-hmm.
So by using fewer fall plants, we have room for spring plants and summer plants and all those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
So we were a bit concerned about what we saw in the fall.
Yeah.
Although it was very pretty, we didn't think it was sustainable, and it might not have been the best use of our money, in my opinion.
Sure.
And I'm really excited that we took a reasonable bid, and that hopefully gives us enough room to do some of the other stuff that we are looking to see in our neighborhood.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's definitely room left in that part of the budget to get something done. Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it. Anyone else?
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, oh, you want the picture?
Yes.
Okay, good evening.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. My name is Mildred Smith, and I live on Barbell.
Okay.
And I'd like to come before you to talk a little in depth about the situation with the flowers in the park district.
Yeah.
Because I was brought into, you know, the committee last year. And it was very interesting to me to get involved because I'm always out there doing my lawn, mowing, picking up stuff, cleaning up, and they're like, she's out here all the time. But people must think that I work for the town. Because when they see me, you know, they point the things out like, oh, wow, how come we don't have this? How come we don't have that?
Yeah.
So I thought it was prudent of me to get involved with the committee to get an understanding of the dialogue between the committee and the town and how we can better work this out so that everybody's happy. Because we don't really, I don't see that it makes sense for us to have to keep dealing with the same issues of flowers
Right,
every single year.
right.
There is such a thing as perennials, and they come back on their own.
Right.
So I know that we have so many more important issues. Not that this is not important, because it is. But we have a lot of important issues that we need to address in the town. And what we wanted to do and thought we were doing was to try to be adversaries. Try not to be adversaries so that we could get this stuff taken care of.
Right.
And we got on board, I did last year, with the Kurt Tranka, and it was my understanding that he was referred to the committee by the board. So I thought, hey, that's a good sign, because this is someone that the board recognizes and they want us to work with, which we did. In working with him, we found out that there were a lot of issues with the grounds because it had not been maintained for many, many years. The soil was eroded, the fertilization was not there. And we talked about a comprehensive approach to cleaning up that area, putting in the mums, and then inserting in the springtime some additional perennials so that to fill it in, beautify it, and then they would come back, maintain it, because there's so many people working out there every day. They don't know that this is a Tranka, contract, or this is, the grounds people. They're doing what they think they're supposed to do, and they're out there trying to do it, but then as a result, what we find is that there's a major disconnect. Because, as we heard, we're spending a lot of money on flowers each year, and we don't see any results. It really looks horrible. It really looks very, very bad for the quality and the integrity of the development. And then you see that the areas where we should have some beautiful flowers coming up, there's nothing. And we're here, springtime is here, and we should have had flowers planted already if we wanted to see them start to bloom. So what my concern is how do we develop a more cohesive way of working, the advisory committee and the town, right? Because I've heard all of the great things that you guys are doing, okay? And it behooves me to find out that, well, why aren't we doing this right here in this development? Okay? The mums were beautiful. They lasted. And again, it was supposed to be a continuation of a holistic approach to cleaning up the park district. Because we've got far greater issues like the trees that they took down. They left such branches and vines and all of this stuff behind that, God forbid, if a child rides their bike down that street and happens to go off the road into that entanglement, it would be a disaster. We want that stuff addressed, and we want to figure out how best do we come before the town and say,
Well, we correspond with people in the neighborhood quite often. We always encourage people, if they see an issue or problem, to call my office, email us, as soon as possible, and we'll get it taken care of.
yes, but I thought I was under the impression that this committee was there to advise you of whatever they see that's needed in the park district. And to be personally honest with you, I've been included on some of the correspondence, and it goes back and forth for a whole lot. It's a lot of back and forth, but yet still, we don't see the results. And
Well,
so-
I think you will as we move forward with this in the very near future.
Is this going to be a long-term solution? Because again, it was supposed to be the whole park district. That's what Tranquil bid on. Yet still, it was broken down into sections as opposed to the holistic. So I think that's where the difference in the pricing comes in.
And the
Well-
$650 a
Well,
month,
I think it was,
$650 a
much,
month.
much different than that, you know.
Is anybody addressing the $650 a month maintenance versus $100 a month for
We're
Trinidad?
not doing the,
That
we're not doing that, we're not doing that option.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, but
So this is
No.
my
Yeah,
concern.
yeah.
What do we, the residents on Ardell Rio?
Well,
Park
there's, like I
District,
said, I
everything.
correspond with residents all the time, and there's differing opinions on what they'd like to see and how things might go forward, so we take all of
Okay.
those opinions into account.
Yes, but just, let me just say this, and I'll move out of the way. I do understand that. But I don't think the tenants or the residents should have to call your office to bother you to tell you that you need to have someone come out and clean that far end of the pond right in front of Par del Rio, where the we do or the what do, okay, doesn't do it. So who's cleaning it? No one.
Well, I get calls and emails all the time for maintenance issues in various parts of town. We can't be everywhere 7 days a week, so.
Okay.
We would appreciate it if you do see an issue, you know, to let my office know, let Dan Clemens know. And,
I just let you know, there's an issue on Par del Rio in the pond
Well, if you
where
could-
no one has cleaned it forever.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
and that needs to be addressed because it's a health hazard. We've got mosquitoes, we've got the odor coming from the pond.
Yeah.
And I know because I sit right across the street from it.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we need to look at as opposed to fighting with, going back and forth.
Oh, we're not fighting with
over-
anybody.
It appears that way to me.
Okay.
Because all of the interactions end in a tone that doesn't produce results. And I'd like to see some results because I like living here.
Well, I think you'll see some
I
results
hope
soon as
so.
we move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sharon Straney.
Hi.
I'm a resident of Clifton Knolls. I lived on Part Rio for 30 years now. And Mildred asked me to come along here to meet with her.
Sure.
Just, I had some pictures that I've seen that were done in front of Part Rio.
Mhm.
That little entrance to the pond there, they were perennial or perennials that were put in. I'm not sure if they're prior to 2018, but I have a picture that I took in 2018 because they were walking. I walk the trails every day with my dog once, twice a day. And they're absolutely beautiful that they looked back then, but they were all taken out. And I don't know who made the decision to take out all these perennials. That would have kept, there was hostas there.
Yeah, but it
They looked
shouldn't
great.
be done.
They keep coming back every year, so there was no maintenance. But these were beautiful flowers
Not
over
at
there
the
at
right.
that time. I don't know if you'd like to see some
No.
of these pictures that I got. I just happened, I found
Yeah,
in my
sure.
pictures that they,
Show 'em.
these were beautiful. That were absolutely at that time, I found right here. We had people in there from the Parks Department that were maintaining
Yeah.
those. and
Right.
They did a wonderful job at that time.
Yeah, that was a shared,
Since then, it's gone downhill.
Dan and his crew.
The other thing I would like to address, I'm at 34 Pardo Rio, so probably from 32 Pardo Rio down to the end of Barney, Pardo Rio meets Barney Road, along the fence line there. Who is responsible for that? I know, I think from the parks goes the other direction,
Yes.
but up until Barney Road, the fence line, because I lived there for 30 years, my husband and I have cleaned many years, taken the vines and cut it back ourselves and try to keep it cleaned up there. Last week, I believe, there's a tree that I guess, that was from the golf course that was, we've been watching, and I think my husband notified somebody in the Parks Department that that tree was gonna fall, it's very dangerous. Thank God it fell during the night, but it put us out of power. They got restored very quickly, but still it's laying over the fence. The fence is broken in many areas down there. There was people that did tree work.
This is on
Pardo Rio.
Pardo Rio.
Yes.
Okay.
It goes
You
from,
aware of that?
Yes, sir.
If that fence line is disaster, it's, you know, years ago.
Do we work down there?
Yeah, we had
Hasn't been worked
scheduled
on
to get out
30
there and fix the tree that fell.
Yeah.
And went through the power lines. It was leaning across the power lines, and we notified National Grid of that, and tried. They asked them to come out and do it. I worked with, highway superintendent, he made 100 calls to get him to come out. We couldn't do it because it's right over the line.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you could plainly see the thing was gonna go.
But there's a lot of dead trees and overgrown
From when they had the company.
stuff all along
Yeah.
there. And then when they were cutting back, where I guess there was the tree services that were hired to cut back from the wires.
That was Asplund.
The trees hanging over.
Was
the
it
top.
Asplund?
Yes.
I think that was the company.
Yes.
But
It
there's
was
a big,
Asplund, yeah, that's,
whole, like, nest.
That's National Grid.
They
If
left
they're-
it all over the top.
They just left the debris.
Well, we have that issue with National Grid, and, they don't always, forever,
Clean up their mess.
clean up their mess.
All right.
Yes. If it's like Dan was saying, if there's a tree that's close to a power line, we have to go to National Grid to get them to take care of it.
But there's.
But they don't always, I'll say not always, if ever, clean up the mess when they're done. It's very frustrating.
It is. You know, I'm living in a house that was my mother-in-law's property. My mother-in-law bought that property back probably in the early 70s.
Mm.
And they were told they paid extra money
For those lots.
with lots there.
Mm.
She could have a view of the golf course.
Mm.
Because my husband's family, he grew up in Upton Knolls.
Okay.
And they moved, he lived in various houses in the neighborhood.
You're aware of this area?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Dan,
it's-
Dan will be out
But all along
there.
that whole fence, we would love, all our other neighbors, we would love to see that cleaned up.
All right, we'll check
I mean,
that out.
the golf course is beautiful, we love to see the view of the golf course out there. You know, it's great, we
Well,
enjoy
thanks.
the area,
There's other
Thanks
things
for letting
like
us know.
but that, it's just.
I love flowers.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know, like I
absolutely.
said, I don't know who's responsible, parks,
Yeah.
you know, wherever all that mess.
Well, buildings and grounds,
Buildings,
ultimately,
yeah.
yeah.
You don't
yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
You don't understand.
So we'll,
Oh, I
we'll
do.
get over there and check it out. Thank you for
Yeah.
letting us know. Anyone else?
Good.
Is there a second? Oh, okay. Second?
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed? Councilman Denier? Councilwoman Wallace? Yes. Supervisor Farrell?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, what did you?
Okay.